If you like your television soaps, then you'll be pleased to hear that I'm joined by two TV legends. Rita Simmons, who plays Roxy Mitchell in EastEnders, or played, and Bill Ward, who played, but is still kind of playing, James Barton in Emmerdale, are currently in Sheffield performing in the musical Legally Blonde at the Lyceum Theatre. They are in the house for a good old chat, in position, in situ, ready for some action. You can ask them questions if you want. They seem quite open and ready for discussion.
Especially Rita.
But I got your name wrong, Rita. I said Simmons, but it's Simon.
It is Simon.
Can't you just put another M in it?
Do you see two M's in my name, though? Do you see a D in my name, though? No.
All right, then, done. We're sorted. We're sorted on that one. How did it go last night then, Rita?
Simons. Just Simon with an S on the end. It's quite simple.
Yeah, it is. But I thought there was another M in there.
No, there isn't. Everyone it's okay. Everyone calls me Simmons. And my married name equally. People get wrong. It's fine.
What is your married name then?
It's Sylveston, and people call me Mrs. Silverstone. I'm just used to it. I just never get called the right name.
Just say Smith.
Or I get called Roxy, and that's the end of that.
Right.
So
Rita
last
Simons.
night was fabulous. We had just come from North Wales, so we were quite excited to be back in a city.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of us are from London, and we were just excited to be back in a buzzy city again. Wales was gorgeous, but it was completely different from where we're at now. The theatre is beautiful.
It is. That is true.
It's gorgeous.
I was a little bit worried about you because I heard that you weren't very well.
I wasn't very well.
Are you feeling better now?
I'm fine now. I just had one sick day off, and I'd like to say thanks to the Daily Mail.
What did they do?
Well, apparently I've pulled out of the show due to a mystery illness. No.
Is that really frustrating when that happens?
Well,
You're not very well.
On the toilet when I read it.
Okay.
So, you know. No, do you know what?
I think we've worked out what was wrong.
It's okay. Listen, what I have to say is, they care enough to write, so I have to actually be, grateful that it's interesting enough to have a story, I
Not
guess.
such thing as bad publicity, they do say that.
But I would like to clarify to everybody, I met some people outside the theatre last night and they said, "Oh, you're in it, we thought you'd pulled out." No, I haven't, I promise you. I just had one sick day and I'm back.
Good. That's really good. You know what's weird? I've got your name wrong. I was more worried about calling you Charlie. I thought I'm going to call him Charlie because I'm rubbish with names. I'm famous for it. I am always really rubbish with names. But Bill Ward, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Paulette. Thank
It's
you.
perfect for you because you're playing a ghost at the moment. You have played a ghost.
Yes, I have been playing a ghost
Halloween.
in
Your day.
Emmerdale. Yes, a kind of a scary sort of back from the dead kind of ghost in Emmerdale. Yeah, it's been good. It's been good.
Yeah. And what's been different about it then? Because obviously you go on, you do your normal part if you're in a soap and, and all the other things that you've been in. You've been in loads of stuff. How's it been different to be a ghost then? What do you have to do that's different?
You just... what was interesting about that, actually, they weren't quite sure what he was going to be, if he was going to be a ghost or if he was going to be in Emma's head. And so what we ended up deciding that he was in fact in Emma's head. So all I did really was do normal acting with a white face.
Oh. And how long did makeup take then?
I would say about sort of 2 to 3 minutes.
No, it's not too bad. Oh, that's all right. Yeah, you could have done that, Rita. Yeah, that's good.
But it was great. It was great fun. It was one of those things that I obviously didn't expect, because when you die in a soap. So I was delighted to come back just for a week, but it was great fun.
Not the first time you've died in a soap. We'll go back to that in just a moment. We need to go back to Legally Blonde. We've hardly talked about it. Who are you playing then, Rita?
I'm playing Paulette.
Yeah.
We can get that name right. Yes, Paulette Bonafonte. She's a hairdresser. She's from New York.
Do you know what? Paulette's my favourite character. I'm going to be honest. She totally is. I love her.
It's really fun to play Paulette.
And it's so unusual to have a character called Paulette. To have any other Paulette anywhere is quite unusual. So that's good. So what does it take to be a good Paulette then?
I guess not. Well, it depends. It depends how you interpret the role. It depends how you play it. I've decided to play it very comedy.
Sounds about right.
Very extremely comedy.
Yeah.
Only because I love doing comedy. So if I get a chance to get my comedy chops around it, I will. So that's how I've chosen to play it. And I've also chosen not to try to watch Jill or Denise or Faye or any of the other fabulous ladies that played Paulette before, because you start to mimic and I don't want to do that. So
Yeah.
I actually watched the film with Jennifer Coolidge, who was Paulette, and very different, and that gave me some nice little nuances that were on the more subtle side.
Yes, because
And
she is very subtle.
Yeah,
It's
so I
lovely.
bought a bit of that, but apart from that, no, I just it's my take on it.
BBC Radio Sheffield. I have got Bill Ward with me and Rita Simons, who are currently in... don't do that every time I get it right. We're getting a cheer here every time I get it right. Who are in Legally Blonde, that's currently on at the Lyceum Theatre. Back to, especially we need to talk about who you're playing, Bill. He's a bit of a dodgy character, isn't he? We'll do that after Stephanie Mills. You can get in touch and ask questions too. Don't just leave it to me, especially because she's a bit cheeky, Rita. 01442796699. 81333 on the text. This is Stephanie Mills. Never knew love like this before.
I never knew love like this before. Now I'm lonely nevermore. Since you came into round where I live, I call your name around. Feelings in the sunlight like this.
Knew love like this before. BBC Radio Sheffield, you're listening to Paulette. I've got with me Bill Ward and Rita Simons, who are currently in the production of Legally Blonde that's on at the Lyceum Theatre. We're talking about their roles, we're going to talk a bit about the show, and we're going to talk about what you'd like to change, because that's our question today, what you'd like to change in your life. I've got a feeling I might know what yours is, Bill. So who's your character? No, it's a good one.
Okay, good.
You always think it's going to be naughty. Anyway, Bill.
Yes.
So your character then, you're playing a professor, aren't you?
Yes.
What does
yes.
he do then? He's a bit of a one, isn't he?
He is. He runs. He's very pleased with himself. He's just he's a nasty piece of work, really, I suppose. And as we go through the play, through the musical, you kind of find out what a nasty piece of work he is. But I'm not going to say exactly what he gets up to, because that would be a spoiler, and that would not be good. But yeah, he's Professor Callahan. He runs a $1 billion law firm. He's extremely smart. He's extremely clever. He thinks he's hilariously funny as well, but he isn't really. He's just he's great fun to play. I love him because he's sharp, and he's also impeccably well dressed, which is clearly the polar opposite of what I am.
Do you
in
feel
real life.
uncomfortable in a suit, though?
Do you know, I have various members of my family who've been to see it, and just the first thing, and pretty much the only thing they say to me after the show is, "I've never seen you looking so smart."
Does he look
So-
good then,
It
Reece?
does. You know,
He
at the
looks
risk of
good.
sounding like an actor. You know, we have to just talk about acting for a second, please. Doesn't it help? You get. I sound like such an actor. But it really does help, doesn't it? You get into the role the minute you get the clothes on.
Yeah, it's the clothes.
If you get to work and you're tired or you don't feel like doing it,
Yeah,
the minute
yeah.
the shoes go on,
Yeah.
it really
You are
helps.
that
You
character.
are.
Yeah.
And for
I-
Bill,
we-
it's so different from his usual look.
Yeah, and it was really interesting actually. Sort of with costume and makeup on this gig, I couldn't really work out who he was until they did his hair, and until they fitted me for his suit. And at that
A
point, you
suit.
kind of go, "Yes, that's it."
Yeah.
You kind of, "Oh, I know who he is," and then you kind of mind that scene really. But it was great. It's been great fun.
When I look at you now, though, and the energy I get from you, it's not a Charlie Stubbs at all. When I think about how different you are from that, he was horrible in, wasn't he?
He was foul. He was great. From
This is from
acting-
Coronation
Yeah,
Street,
from
of
Coronation
course.
Street about 10 years ago. Yeah,
was
I mean,
vile.
he was a foul, abusive.
I couldn't stand him.
No, hideous man. But I mean, from an acting point of view, he was brilliant fun to play, because he's one of those kind of characters where you're never quite sure what they're going to write for him next. So every time you get the script, you're kind of going, "I wonder what they've written for him this week." And it was just, I loved playing him, because he was slightly out there, slightly dangerous, just on the cusp of what is acceptable and what is not, and
Yeah.
actually mostly over the line of that.
He was
but from an
vile.
acting point of view, great fun to have a go at.
So you take delight in playing horrible people. Then, is that what you're saying to me?
Well, it gets me work, so you know how it is. So
You're good. You must be
But well, I do
so
enjoy. I
different
do
in real
enjoy.
life.
I do enjoy sort of slightly rougher, stronger, harder characters, just because they have slightly more clearly, from an acting point of view, slightly more clearly defined edges, they're easier to get hold of, and you can see where the lines are, if you see what I mean, and they're more clearly defined.
Yeah.
So that's why I like them, because you can get hold of them much quicker, I find.
Is that easier for male characters than female characters? Do you find that you,
No,
you
it's
get that
exactly the
depth with a
same.
female character?
I always used to say that. See, again, I was lucky with Roxy because she was slight caricature, and I always used to say that the scenes that are the easiest scenes are the crying, the shouting, the da-da-da-da-da. The hardest scene to do is what I used to call a Jackanory scene, which is a storytelling scene, which is mundane. Going into the pub and asking for a pint and whatever is actually really hard because, like Bill's just said, there's no edges to grab onto there. You just playing blasé, playing nonchalant is
Sort of throwaway stuff.
Throwaway.
Do you get bored at that point then with those
Yes.
types of things?
Yeah, well, you get bored if you haven't had a big storyline for a long time and you're doing all of that. Yes, luckily with Roxy, I was so lucky. I always had a great storyline, but they're the ones that you have to concentrate the hardest with, to play nonchalant, to play blasé, to play small, to play subtle. So, like Bill said, to play anyone who's got an edge, there's so much more to grab onto, and it's so much more defined.
Is it hard to die then? Because you two are pretty good at it, aren't you?
Well, it was hard
We
to
do a
die.
fair amount of it.
Yeah, it was hard.
You're the king of it.
It was hard to die physically, in as much as we laid in that pool for 4 hours on and off, with floats on our backs, with divers dressing in wedding dresses and everything, and that was physically, yeah, mentally as well. Obviously, we didn't want to kill the characters that we loved,
No.
and so that was like kind of contradictory.
Yeah, so
you know.
filming the final scene, was that hard then?
It was not the most enjoyable. It was bittersweet. We were on location with the most beautiful crew. I mean, everyone, costume, makeup, lighting, they're just all so gorgeous. And we were very aware this was our last outing.
And Sam Woodcock as well, your good friend. So was it good to know that you were...
She has got a disease with names. It's actually a disease.
Woodcock? I meant Womack.
It is Samantha Woodcock.
Hey, you need to be sympathetic to me because it's an ailment.
It is. You've got a disease, haven't you?
It's not good.
What is it?
And you
Who's
work here
Woodcock?
as well.
Who is she?
I get shown up every single day. Every single
You've
day.
made my day.
So Sam Womack
Womack
is a good friend of yours.
She's my best friend, yeah, she really is.
So was it good to know that you were ending together then? Was that a positive
Yeah,
bit
I
of
mean,
it?
the whole thing was obviously very traumatic, and Bill will vouch for this as well. When you're playing a character, and especially for 10 years, it becomes ingrained in you, and you love those characters. And I loved Ronnie, and equally I love Sam. So you're kind of killing these characters that you love and your best mate. But had I not gone through all of that with Sam, I think it would have been the most horrendously lonely time. But me and Sam came in together with her holding my hand, because she'd been in the industry so much longer than me, and we went out together, and I'm still the best of friends with her, and we always will be.
It's so important. BBC Radio Sheffield, you're listening to Paulette. I've got Rita and Bill. Let's just leave it at that because I can your names. Have you got headphones? You've got yours on, Bill. There's some headphones for you because Margaret in Sheffield has got in touch. She's on the phone.
got none.
Yeah, you got none. Let's see if we can work some out for you. Can you share them? Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So, Margaret in Sheffield, you are going to see the show for your birthday.
I am, yes.
What made you decide to go and see it then? What is it
Well,
about
it's
the
my
show?
daughter that picks up and says, do you want to see this? Do you want to see that? All the shows that we go to.
Oh, wonderful. And what are you looking forward to about this one then?
Oh, to see the characters. Because I haven't seen the film, so I don't know much about it.
All right. So you
Until I've
might...
heard you.
Okay, so you might want to say a little bit, if Rita can just say a little bit about the show, just for Margaret, if you can do it. There you go.
I
here we are.
am just not even going to lie. I missed most of that question. Do you think you could repeat it? in a
Yes, it's her
nutshell?
birthday. She's going to come to see the show on Saturday. She doesn't know anything about it. She's not seen the film. It's her daughter who usually chooses what she goes to see, and she's very
Well, no,
excited.
she asked me.
Oh, does she? Oh, I thought
Yeah.
she was just saying, oh, Margaret, you're
No,
coming to
she
this for your
asked me.
birthday.
Oh, how
No,
do you
no.
sum up legally in a nutshell?
Yeah, you need to do it.
Oh, Bill,
It's a massive
follow it. I can
song and
follow
dance
it.
spectacular. It's an awful
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's about Elle Woods, who is played by the amazing Lucy Jones.
Yes.
Who
Yeah.
is amazing and
Yeah.
who is very funny, got an extraordinary voice. And it's about, I don't know, what would you say it's about?
Throw it back to her.
So on the surface, you know, it looks quite fluffy and pink. And the story is never judge a book by its cover. There's a whole lot more to Elle than you think, and there's a whole lot more to the show than you think. A lot of guys tend to be like, oh, I'm going to see that, it's all pink. It's actually really, really funny, very fast moving. You'll be in stitches most of the time.
And it's about Margaret being yourself as well.
It is,
Yeah.
It's a lot about being yourself. So,
And that you can, and you can do anything if you try hard enough at it.
so you're going to get inspired, Margaret, on Saturday.
I am.
You really are.
It's the characters as well, and especially if it's somebody that you've known through television or something as well, that helps.
These are lovely and they're
I'll
cheeky,
put it there
Margaret.
with the binoculars.
With your binoculars, all
Yeah.
you will need them, for these two. Lovely to talk to you, Margaret. Happy birthday on
Thank
Saturday,
you.
and well done to your daughter for choosing a great play, a great musical.
Thank
to
you.
go
We're
and
going
see.
next week as well.
Oh,
great.
We'll see you then.
Crazy for you.
Lovely to
Thank
talk to you,
you.
Margaret. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the subject then, before you go, is change. I've looked on your website, Bill, and seen that you're a photographer, and some of your photos are absolutely gorgeous. They really are beautiful, really atmospheric. Is that something that you would do if ever, and the world obviously of theatre and television would be bereft without you? But is that something that you just carry on doing? Would you go into it if you packed in?
I do it sort of in conjunction with. So when I'm not acting, or even sometimes when I am, I bring my camera with me, and it's a nice balance, I find, to the acting, really, because the acting world is sort of quite full on for very short periods of time, and what I tend to do is try and balance that with sort of getting out into, onto the sea, to mountaintop, and just kind of, it's a bit of zen, really. It sort of really sorts me out. So it's a nice balance between the two things. So I tend to find that I take better pictures when I'm working,
Right.
because it's the balance, and so in the very fact that you are working in a theatre and sort of surrounded by this sort of extraordinary mayhem gives you something to I don't know, something to balance, really.
Yeah,
so,
moments of peace. It's
yeah,
beautiful.
that's it. Yeah,
so you're a
thank
bit
you.
like Carly. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing.
I'm very happy with how it all works at the moment. It's been great.
Rita, will we see you on Strictly? Have we seen you on Strictly yet?
I was asked to do Strictly, and I said no.
Why?
Only because I was asked to do it whilst I was still at EastEnders. So
You're not
I
at
just,
EastEnders now.
No, but I was asked then. And to be honest, I did say when I left EastEnders, and I've stuck to it, that I was going to not do the reality shows. I was going to give myself at least a year, and I've stuck to that. I've been offered a lot of reality shows, and I've said no to all of them purely because I want to stick to acting at the moment, and that's what I love.
And what would you change about your life at the moment if you could change anything?
What would I change about my life?
Are you going to do a
that's
Kylie on me?
such a deep question. There's
Very
so
deep.
many possibilities.
Rita.
What would I change? Well, I'd like my kids to be nearer right now. They're both 11, twins, both started separate secondary schools, and I'm not in the loop at all. So I wish I was a bit more in the loop there. I think that's what I'd change.
It's been lovely to meet you. Rita Simons, Bill Ward, an absolute treat on at the Lyceum in the wonderful, lovely, gorgeous Legally Blonde Isle. I've seen that film about 10 times. I need to go and see the musical, don't I?
You do.
You do.